Yep.
You're betting against Elon. Oliver, on episode 1 of Keeping It
No,
Loose.
no, no. Elon's crushed it this year. Elon's crushed it this year.
Elon, did you hear Oliver? He's betting
He's
against you
just
on
had his
first
record
episode of
quarter.
Keeping It Loose.
He's just had his record quarter. He's been keeping it loose.
Things start off by introducing ourselves, and my name is Dalton Skach. I'm here with my co-host Oliver Shawa, and on today's docket, what we're going to be doing to kick things off is going over the Polymarket portfolio challenge that I've set up for us, and I'll go over the specifics here in a little bit. And then we're going to be going into the 3 deals we have for today, the 3, I guess, bets we have in the market, which are the first one is the one that's coming up most recently, a couple of days, is will Blackstone beat their quarterly earnings of $1.23 per share? The second one that we have is going to be how many Tesla deliveries in Q4 of 2025, guessing that, and that's going to be ending on January 3rd, 2026. And then the last one, which is the Anthropic IPO closing market cap. And that one is expected to close on June 30th, 2026. So they're all pretty spread out. And I think that as we do this more, we'll probably figure out if we want to do it as spread out like that, or if we want to do more focused on near term and things of that nature. You ready for me to tell you a little more about the game overview?
I'm ready.
Okay. Well, I had a little bit of a help to kind of get this easy to understand in the most maybe fast way. So here's how it's going to go is we're both going to start off with $1 million each in virtual money. Our goal is to beat each other, but also more importantly is to beat the market, right?
I like it. Let's go.
Right. And I think one of the really cool things as like a little side thing here is what about these prediction markets? What's so cool is what I think is so interesting is that if we, for example, talking about Tesla deliveries in Q4 of 2025, right? Like the stock market is it's so dependent on so many different things that, like, for example, if Tesla were to exceed its expected deliveries, sometimes the stock goes down on that still, right? And same thing with Blackstone and things like that. What I love about prediction markets is that it's finite, right? It goes, hey, this is the bet you're making. It's like a football game. It ends, right? You do your preparation, the football game happens, end of the fourth quarter, bam, you either make your money and you're paid out or you're not, right? Based on those things. So I love that kind of aspect of it that we're going to be kind of doing. But anyways, we'll both be making bets on real Polymarket questions using real market odds, but without spending real money. As of right now, every bet's going to be tracked, every win or loss is recorded, and every quarter we'll see who's ahead, right? Again, we're trying to compete versus each other, but also we want to beat the market.
Great.
This game is part competition, part learning experience, but also a lot of entertainment, all while building a track record of our market calls. So the rules: we have $1 million in virtual money. The minimum bet is 1,000. The maximum bet is going to be 10% of our portfolio at any point in time, right? So like $100,000, for example, right now. We'll be using real Polymarket odds, and we'll be manually tracking it in this Excel file. But one of the things we can also do, since we're vibe coding maniacs, is build like a really easy dashboard to track our bets and update them from time to time and add leaderboards. And other people want to join us, we
They
can create we can opt them in maybe at like every quarter. They give them $1 million and they can start playing it around with us. That could be really cool.
That would be really cool. That would be really cool. I think it keeps it engaging the entire year. That way we're not just stuck on fantasy football chill.
That's
And
exactly
we're
right.
keeping it loose.
That's exactly right. It's basically we're able to see this and we're able to like look more into it, but it also makes our decisions about these predictions more meaningful, right? Because it is meaningful. It is meaningful. Because, for example, right, if we're just playing around and just being silly and our markets go down, it's like, what are we doing, right? But if
100%.
if we're having high conviction, making these bets, we're deciding by ourselves, right? And if these things do work out, it's all recorded, right? It's all recorded on video and it's all recorded in
Yeah,
our
and then maybe
Excel.
we get to the point where we start getting confident in our own ability. I think you mentioned this actually last section,
Yep.
where, you know, either we're picking for ourselves or we're picking for other people.
Right. Well, it's a whole new market, right? So people like when these new systems come on market, whether it was crypto, whether it was like high frequency trading, well now it's with AI, but now with prediction markets, with sports gambling, with whatever, whenever there's like a new market, there's opportunity for somebody to come in and kind of make a name for themselves. And so prediction markets is pretty interesting, especially considering that Polymarket is not currently available to use in the United States, but it's expected to be at the end of this year, right? So there could be a lot of opportunity for us to do so. So that's kind of that.
So, is there a poly market on if the poly market will be ready to be used in the United States by the end of this year?
There is, and
I
I
love
thought
it.
about that. I'm
I
like, yes,
love
maybe
it.
so maybe that'll be on our next episode. I think one of the great things about Polymarket too is that it's happening all the time, right? It's happening 24/7. And so it's one of those things that whenever we want to hop on a call and go over 3 bets or 4 bets or whatever, we could do it on a Tuesday, you could do it on a Sunday, you could do it on a middle of the day, you could do it on a holiday, right? So
Absolutely.
which is really interesting. So without further ado, does that all make
Question,
sense?
question, 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 question about the rules.
Yes.
Do we have to make a bet on the topics that we discuss?
Yes.
We have to.
Yep.
What's the
So
minimum bet?
minimum is 1,000, right?
One
So that's point yeah, it's point what, 1.01%
okay,
of our money, essentially. Um, but then the maximum is 10%. So basically, it was one of those things, right? It shows our level of conviction.
right,
There's a level of conviction. It's not just us here on a video saying like, "Oh, I think Tesla deliveries are gonna be this quarter or in
right.
this quarter." And it's like, well, what meaning does that have behind it? It's like, I have so much confidence that it's going to be this, that I'm gonna put up this much money to wager it on. And then if
Right.
you're
You know what
right.
also too will be great is for these longer term bets, posting these videos and then having people see like, it's been up this long. It wasn't just edited, it wasn't AI, blah, blah, blah. So I think there's a lot of credibility with having the video at least posted for this kind of stuff. So that's fun. I'm excited, Gio.
Absolutely. And it's also, right, these things, they're new bets come out every day, right? And so when there's more attention and news around one of these bets and you put it on YouTube, it just gathers more attention around the hot idea at the time, and it's good for gaining new, audience members and things of that nature. But yeah,
Absolutely.
it'll be great. And so
One thing
we'll see
too,
how
I
we
want to say
feel.
this about Polymarket. And I'd be curious to learn this kind of as we go through it more. But it was one of those channels, it was like a science channel, whether it was on TV or whether it was on YouTube when I was younger, and it talked about swarm mentality, and it talked about how ants are able to kind of come together and, do things efficiently together without them realizing as an individual that they're doing that one thing, and bees do the same thing. And so they kind of mimicked that behavior amongst humans, and they had them predict certain things, like top actor, who won the Grammy, like best movie, like little things like that,
Mhm,
and oftentimes the majority won.
mhm.
Very rarely did the minority win. So it was a kind of whether or not they were experts or not, it was just kind of a funny thing to notice. So I'm curious if that could be something we track is whether the majority was correct or whether the majority was incorrect in their thinking.
Certainly. And that's something that I think that we can vibe code one of these platforms to track all these things and make those little things, those little observations, because with that data, again, it could be helpful if other people are saying, hey, these guys have not only been doing this for a lot of different bets and they've been doing well, or however well they've been doing, but also we're collecting a lot of data that could be used maybe in other ways for other
Right.
investments
Right.
and create a system on a new platform, kind of like when crypto started out, I guess.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I guess we should get started. So at the end of every question, after we review it, we're gonna be making our bets at the end of each one. Okay.
Perfect.
And we can go back and forth and depending on who goes first and stuff like that. But I'd be curious. So we're gonna go with the first one would be Blackstone. I just felt that since it's the one that's happening the most soon in a couple of days that we should start there. So I'm curious to hear how you went about doing research on the question, will Blackstone beat quarterly earnings expectations of $1.23 earnings per share?
Right. I think these things are always interesting for stocks and earnings, etc. There's all these different websites that compile all this data,
Mhm.
and you can go down Zacks, you can go on Motley Fool, you can go on all these different areas. And this is going to be my least confident bet because it was something that I had done as a little zero before we talked about it just 2 days ago. So we live in the year 2025. It's October 1st. ChatGPT 5 has something called deep research.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I did the same thing.
And I deep researched it and I deep
Oh my
researched
gosh.
it. And I wonder, it'll be interesting to know kind of like how different we actually are on this.
Yeah,
But
that is
that's what
hilarious.
I did. But they did a good job, and I obviously made sure to look to see what they were quoting and everything of that nature. So Nasdaq.com, Market Beat, you got FinViz, you've got all these different ones, Zacks, CappyFin. So there's all these different things. I like that they're able to compile it, and then I don't have to think about that as much. So we'll see if it has done as good of a job. But what was interesting to me was even though it was able to pull all this data, it kind of gave a response that I feel like I would have myself, at least a feeling I would have myself after reading everything, which was, well, shoot, I still don't know what it will be, right? I still don't know the answer. Like it gave great examples for how it could beat, but if it were to beat, it would be a modest beat, and it gave a lot of examples as to why it should be this number, and it even gave some examples as to maybe why it wouldn't beat these expectations. So, did you find that as well?
Yeah, no, it's so funny. I did the deep research. I'm actually interested in hearing what prompt you used when doing your deep research for each of them. It's interesting to see how you prompted it. And because that's the thing I did. I said, you know what, I want to deep research it because that way I'm going to be able to learn as much as possible about this and be able to make my own conclusion, right? And I didn't give it even the options. I didn't give it the options that are given on Polymarket, right? Some of these questions they have more than two options available. It's not just yes or no. Some of them have like multiple. So I just didn't give it the options. I just said, hey, give me your prediction of what this number is going to be or what this date is going to be. But no, I hear you on the uncertainty of this one. It's just such a close number, right? It's just like one
It is.
dollar
I mean,
twenty
we're talking
three.
about cents. We're talking about missing it by cents or beating it by cents.
Yep.
Buck 25 a share is kind of like the unofficial whisper number, is what they say, 2 to 3 cents higher than the consensus. That's your slight beat, 3 cents higher. I don't know. It sounds like people are kind of almost thinking they'll miss, is what I got if I were to gather hints from it. Sounds like people are almost thinking they'll miss.
Did you get any kind of, I would say I got some more information on the other two that I have, I guess, more context on. All I've heard recently is just about like banks and financial institutions that are just breaking records right now. They're just doing extremely well. They're making a lot of money. And I know that Blackstone also had a really big Q2 as well with like great growth in their asset management. I got around the number of $1.28, right? And so if the question is, we're looking at will Blackstone beat quarterly earnings? It's got two options. You can buy it at 63 cents, and if you win, it pays out a dollar, right? You can buy no for 39 cents,
Mhm.
right? And that pays out a dollar. Again, they'll pay out a dollar. So I also wonder because these two numbers, right, they add up to over a dollar and 63 cents and 39 cents. And so I wonder, if there's like some sort of 2 cent discrepancy that is out there in Polymarket that we have to like research later on.
Here's something, yeah, I mean, I don't know, but Blackstone's beaten their quarterly earnings for the last 4 quarters at least, right? That's something that I see. 91 cents Q3 2024, buck 50 Q4 2024. $5 estimated in Q1 2025 and a buck 10 Q2 2025. Obviously the market's been doing well right now. Things seem to be trending in the right direction. I have heard some concern about regional banks as of late, believe it or not. I have heard some concern. I haven't dug too deep into that concern, but they have beaten their quarterly earnings for the last 4 quarters. People are talking about a cool down. I know right now, particularly in Reno, it's a hot market. Thinking about real estate, it's been a hot market, but now it's a buyer's market. People can't sell their stuff. Things are becoming a little bit more favorable for the buyer. So, what does that mean for the banks? You know, people are wanting to give money out. They're wanting people to buy. Do they need that money? I don't know. Has that already been baked in the last 3 months, and now I'm maybe ahead of myself and thinking about Q4 instead of Q3? Potentially. So, this is probably my least confident bet, I will just preface it with that. I'm not gonna pretend that I have the answer to this one by any means, because I feel like it's so multifaceted. They're so intertwined with the rest of the world, but I don't know, Chew. I don't know. I mean,
It's one of those things where I'm
the smart thing for me to say would be beat because they right now are at 62% on Polymarket. They've beat for the last 4 quarters. People are expecting a slight beat on their expected, which is a buck 23, correct? A buck 23? Or
yep,
is it a buck
buck 23,
22?
buck
Buck
23.
23. So, I'm gonna go with a beat, and it's gonna be my least confident wager. I'm gonna bet 1,000
At
virtual coin.
1,000. Okay. I'm gonna go 10,000 for this one.
Okay.
I'm gonna be betting that it's gonna go above 123. And really, it's just so interesting to see how our analysis will evolve over time, and if we're going to continue to rely on the deep research, which I'm sure that we will in some aspects of it, but then maybe there's other things that we're looking at, like for instance, just acknowledging that this market, this poll has only been open for was October 21st, so it opened on the 17th, right? Basically, it started off at 80%. They only had a few betters and then it stopped, with 70 and now it's down to like 60, but it's been hovering at, 62% for the past couple of days. And so I wonder even if when we're doing other bets in the future, when they have more of a history of kind of seeing what the activities going on, I wonder if that will affect things. But yeah, I'm going 10,000. They're going to beat quarterly earnings, and I'm going to do it basically based on the information that I was given from my top 5 Wall Street analysts that I hired through the deep research. That was my prompt. I said,
Nice.
"You are 5 of Wall Street's highest performing investors." I go, "You have won many awards and consistently beat the market. I would like you all to research if Blackstone will beat GAAP EPS estimate of 123 for Q3 2025. After researching, I want you to discuss amongst yourselves what you think that number might be and why. You must all discuss and come to a combined conclusion on your number and your confidence level on that number. Please back up your reasoning." And then what I also add at the very end, I go, "This will be one of the most important bets you make for the year and could determine if you beat the market or not and your bonuses."
I like that.
So,
I like that. That's way better than mine because
okay,
what I did was the most basic. I said, "What do you project Blackstone's earnings per share to be on October 23, 2025? Will they beat their quarterly earning estimates?" It asked me back, no deep research. It asked me back. It said, "Are you interested in analyst consensus estimates, AI-based forecasts, or both? Should I compare the projected EPS to current Wall Street estimates? Would you like any context, such as historical beats, misses?" And I just said, yes, yes, yes. And then it
right,
spit out its report. So
right. No, I like the
we'll see.
question,
We'll
but
see.
yeah,
I mean, I'm keeping it loose. I'm just throwing in a
there's
little bit on this one. I do not know. I do not.
got
This
no.
is not something I'm confident in.
So that's what I wanted to share. I wanted to share that I think it's called chain of thought or tree of thought approach, where you have multiple different AI characters and they discuss among themselves, and then you also
Mhm.
give them an incentive, basically, or also even a carrot and the stick. And basically, it says, "Hey, you all are dependent for your bonuses, your livelihood. You're either going to stay domestic for Christmas or you're going to Saint Tropez or whatever it might
Right,
be."
right,
Right.
right, 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 right. I like.
And so when it kind of came down to at the very end, and it goes, "We're betting that Blackstone will clear the bar with room to spare." So it had some room to spare. So I'm like, okay, so I'll put 10,000 on that. And so I'll do this, and after we're done here, we'll remember what we did. But I'll share my screen afterwards, and I'll show you the prediction tracker, so that you can see how I'm logging this, and I'll share the file with you as well.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
So we have 1,000 and 10,000 voting in the same for Blackstone. Also, we have to
Okay,
lock it
what's our
we
next
gotta
one? What are
lock
we
it in,
doing
right? We gotta
next?
lock it in. The bet's locked in. Even though I haven't added it yet, we're locking it in. We can't change.
Locked.
Okay, it's locked. All right. So now the next one we have. You ready for the next one? I can start off with
Yeah.
it. So we have how many Tesla deliveries in Q4 2025. So this one comes due. The bet comes due at the end of January of 2026. The options that we have are one, which is less than 350K. The other options are between 350, 375, 375, 400, 400 to 425, 425 to 450, 450 to 475, 475 to 500, and 500 or more. The information that I've got, I use a couple of different AIs in discussions when talking about this. And what I got at, which I think is an indicator of what this is going to be I think maybe it could be a sign, but it told me it estimates that they're gonna have 420,000, 420, 420, right? 420 with Tesla and
Sounds too
Elon. He
much like
loves
Elon Musk for
he
me
loves
too.
420 thing, and it came at the 420, and I go, it's gotta be 420. I think that he's only gonna deliver 420 just to end out the year just because he wants to make a funny X post, right?
So,
So I'm
question for you though on deliveries. I don't know how that's marked. Is a delivery meaning a final sale to an end user, or is a delivery? What is a delivery?
right. Great question. I wanna learn more about that too. I know, they have how much they manufactured and how much they delivered. So I wanna say, I mean, if you're gonna deliver a car, somebody's purchased it, you brought it to their home or it's been purchased. And maybe it's
Right.
on the way to be delivered, right? Maybe on a truck or something like that. So that's how I'm envisioning deliveries. Is that how you'd envision it too?
That's how I would envision deliveries, but I would hate it if it was that it was something more like, we built the car is on the lot, it's been delivered.
Right, but how would that
Mean
affect your
anything.
analysis? How would that affect your analysis? Because
Well, it
aren't
would
aren't
affect
they the same thing?
okay, that's a good question. It would actually affect my analysis tremendously because I don't think that production has been slowed just given the nature of that warehouse. I think the idea is to continually produce things. And, obviously, I mean, it's leaner than most. They're not going to just be stuck producing what they have to produce. They are going to produce on their expectations. And if he had high expectations, then he's going to continue to deliver. I'm doing air quotes, deliver if that's what delivery means, right? He's going to end up putting those
Mm,
cars on the lot. But as you and I both know, the whole EV tax is now gone
yep,
as of
exactly,
October. So not as many people will be buying these vehicles.
right.
And there are a lot of them. A lot of people were just trying to get rid of them for dirt cheap at the end of last month, at the end of September. So
There's a lot of incentives, and so, yeah, they had their largest quarter ever for deliveries. I think it was like 495,000.
you have to assume
So it's gonna
at
be
least
less. So exactly, so it's like, I don't think it's gonna, it's because of them trying to, uh they had all these incentives to buy the car, and it went into
I
it went
almost
into
bought
it
one.
went into Q4 as well, right? It went into the start of this month and things of that nature. People, like,
Did it go
continuously.
into Q4? I
I
I
don't
thought
think
it
I don't think the EV, um, incentive, um, stopped in Q4 or the day of Q4, right? There was, like, a discrepancy on those things. Like, they didn't, like, plan it to be, like, related to deliveries for Tesla or automotive makers.
let's look it up. When is Q3 over for Tesla? Q3 ended on September 30th is right when the whole thing ended.
Is on September 30th is when the EV.
Yeah, when did EV incentive end? Yeah, it ended the same day.
Hmm,
It ended the
I was
same
wrong in
day.
that
So
assumption.
so Q4 means no EV
Right,
incentive.
incentive, yep. So, I mean, it's gonna be going, what was it the previous quarters? What do we have the previous quarters? Do you have that pulled up?
I do have it pulled up, but as I'm doing that, I'm trying to look what does a delivery actually mean? So last I do wait. Q4 last year was 495,000.
Okay, so Q3 2025, demand surged and Tesla beat expectations by delivering 497,000 vehicles versus 444,000 that were expected.
Okay. How many was in Q3 you said? 497,000?
Yep. And they had manufactured around 450,000, so they had to go into their inventory to sell these other ones that they had on hand, the other 50,000. So they sold more than they produced, which is nice.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's great. So delivery is final sale, by the way, just so we have that idea. It's had a pattern of setting new delivery records. They've been setting new delivery records each year. They've set one already this year. I don't anticipate it to be another record setting quarter this year. I expect a significant pullback myself. They're saying potentially it'd be the weakest quarter of 2025.
So that'd be a bear case.
That is a bear case. I would honestly think it's the bear case because if I'm a buyer, I knew I had 3 quarters to actually make my purchase.
You know, we also have the holiday season coming up too. And here's the thing, right? I am biased because I'm not sure if you have used the autopilot self-driving Tesla yet to have it drive you anywhere. I'm not sure
I
if you
have.
use it. You have? It's insane. I had
Yeah.
my friend Albert, he had his Tesla bring me from Brea to Newport Beach, and it just brought me there. I didn't have to touch the wheel. I didn't have to freaking touch the pedal. It just drove me all the way there. So after
I've
that
been seeing a
experience, I'm just very what?
been seeing a lot more people with Teslas, but it also has been in the last couple of weeks, and the last couple of weeks was the end of this whole quarter things.
Right. But also, again, the holidays too, making a final push. We
You're
got to
making a
get
final
Tesla.
push for the holidays.
We got to get Tesla to jump up a couple of $1 trillion so Elon can get another $1 trillion pay package too. So he's gonna want to get these numbers up.
He is going to want to get these numbers up. That's for darn sure.
So I'm at that 420 number. So that would put me at the 400K to 425, and that would be buying at 17 cents. Just buying at 17 cents, right? Which is was again when if it hits goes to $1. I think another thing that's interesting to see is the amount of volume you can see on Polymarket. For example, like the amount of volume that they have for each of the different ones. Like the most volume out of all of them is at 425 to 450K. Least amount of volume is over 500K. There's also some pretty good volume that is under 350K, which would be
I see the volumes now. Yeah.
right. So that's a pretty interesting thing. And this one's been around since I guess just a few days as well. This one just started as well. And we've seen it like adjust over time.
I'm gonna put my bet at 375 to 400.
Okay. 75 to 400. So you're betting it at 23 cents.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. So you have 375 to 400. I'm doing 400 to 425. You're at 23 cents.
And I'll bet 5,000.
You know what's interesting? Okay. Okay. Great. 5,000. I'm also going to bet 10,000 on this one as well. You know what's interesting too, Joe, is these buy no options, right?
What is that?
So basically, you can say like, for example,
Oh, the buy
this.
no.
Look at this, right? So I mean,
Well, do we want to play that way too?
that's an interesting. It's an option. It's an option. And here's the thing: is like for example, 500K, right?
I'm
Plus
gonna bet because I would bet, yeah, exactly.
you could buy that no for 92 cents, right?
And make 8 cents on the buck.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Is that so? But then your money's going to be locked up for the next 3 months, right? For the next 90 days for 8%, which again, 8% is 8% over 90 days. You can do that with all of your portfolio. At the end of the year, it's going to be a good thing. If every quarter you can go up 8% with your portfolio, life is
Not
good.
bad, you.
Life is good. Life is good. So it's a
Now
matter
maybe
of
we can maybe we place a yes and a no if there's multiple options if we want to.
I thought about that too earlier, and I think that once we might have this down a little bit more, what's with the Excel, maybe the vibe coding kind of platform that we have, where we could just plug and play and just put in an order really easily. I think I would have no issue with that to kind of do one and the other. But what do you think about we
Because
just
I would
choose?
because I
We
would
just
like
choose.
I would like, Your Honor, I would like to put $100,000 on no on 500,000 units for an $8,000 return.
Okay, gotcha. So you're going to be buying. Okay, so you're going to be making the fine because again, I know that we made the decision, but I know that we opened up more options afterwards. So
So
yes.
this one's giving us two options, right?
So what you're saying is yeah. So what you're saying is that you're going to put 100,000, or you're going to buy no at 92 cents for 500K plus.
Yep.
You're betting against Elon. Oliver on episode 1 of Keeping It
No,
Loose.
no, 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 no. Elon's crushed it this year. Elon's crushed it this year.
Elon, did you hear Oliver? He's betting
He's
against you
just
on
had his
first
record
episode of
quarter.
Keeping It Loose.
He's just had his record quarter. He's been keeping it loose. He's good for the year. He
Boy,
hit his record for the year. He's happy. He knows
Elon,
this was
I'm
the final
betting on
push.
yes
He knew
420.
he knew Elon knew it was the final push because he timed his quarter date perfectly with the date that the EV incentive ended. and he still didn't have enough production because he didn't anticipate it.
Oliver's going no, 92 cents, 100K order going to be filled. D Skach is going in at 400 to 425K, buying it at 17 cents. We're going to do 10,000. Keep it a little
Are you
bit.
buying a no as well though? Because
I'm
I'm
buying
buying
a
a yes
yes. I'm
and a
buying a
no.
yes at 17 cents.
You're not buying any
No,
no's?
not buying any no's. I think that's what I'm saying is that once we have the Excel and the other things set up where we can put in orders quicker and easier
Okay.
and track it and be very confident in it, I think that we can start putting in multiple things, multiple different bets.
But you're gonna let me do the other one though, Chew? Or are you gonna cut me off at one?
Cutting you off at one for this
No,
episode.
that then I don't want that to be my only one.
Episode one. What do you mean? You got to do one. You got to do one. You don't want
Fine,
to do that. You don't want to do that for your only one. You're gonna go back. You're doing this $100,000 bet. That's the biggest bet you can make on episode one. Keeping it loose. Now you're gonna go off of it, Chew.
I will do it, but why don't you just do it? Why don't you do a no bet as well so that we can have a little more fun?
I don't want to bet a no bet on this one.
But are you gonna restrict me from betting yes and no?
You can if that is what you like to do.
I also want to bet yes
Okay.
on 400.
Okay. So you'll be betting yes on what?
Four,
375 to 400.
375 to 400.
Okay, gotcha. At 23 cents.
Yep.
How much are you putting on that one?
5,000.
Okay. What do you think about I had the rule was max per bet, but I wonder if we should do max per thing. But
No,
you know
I
what I
don't
mean?
think so. I just think
Okay.
because then you will be locked
Per,
up, right? We'll
gotcha.
be locked up if we're not.
Gotcha. Okay. Got your two bets locked in. I got my one bet locked in. Bang. Wow.
Hey,
Wow.
that was electric.
Tesla episode one deliveries. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge, as some would say. All right. We're
Some
going
might
in,
say that.
we're
Some might
going
say
into
that,
the third period and in celebration of the hockey season finally starting. So third period. Last but not least, Anthropic IPO closing market cap. This one is supposed to
By
end
June 30th.
by
By
June
June
3rd,
30th.
2026. So about 9 months out, 8 months out. I'll let you take the floor for this last one.
Yeah, the most interesting thing to me looking at this and looking at the odds was the fact that no IPO by June 30th is an option.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, you can look at the valuation of these things, and I think that would be another discussion. But they just closed their Series F round. Is that correct?
Right at 183 billion.
That's a massive round. Do you know of anyone that's closed more than an F?
Oh
A
yeah,
G?
oh yeah. There's companies that do like more than that. They like way more letters. They'll do like G and whatever letters come after G.
Really?
Yeah,
I had no idea. Maybe I had an idea, but none of them came to mind.
yeah. I want to say Stripe is past F.
I have heard some interesting things about Anthropic. I saw a LinkedIn article just the other week, and it was kind of around their browser, right? It was around their free browser
Yeah.
that they wanted to get people to use,
Yep.
and how it
OpenAI just
immediately
launched
spent.
their browser today.
Who did?
OpenAI just launched their browser today.
I didn't know that. I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check that out, and I think the news of that and just Anthropic's really was a hit to Google. Google's stock price is what my LinkedIn article said. So I didn't read too much into that, but I do know that there's a lot of conglomerates, right? And it is a race to the top. The more money you can throw at these things, the better right now. Obviously, there's a big play on infrastructure, marketing, everything. It's just who can get the most money behind them. And we saw those massive raises right around that 2021 time, 2022 time. Things just started to get a little bit exciting. So, it's interesting also to understand the dynamics of these raises because you look at companies and what they're doing like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, these companies with their venture arms, their whole play there is to get exposure even if they're not the ones developing. You can either buy a company out and have a merger or buyout, or you can invest in them and allow them to operate how they want to operate. And recent sentiment has shown from different professors and researchers at Stanford that work closely with these Silicon Valley groups that investing in them from a venture perspective is actually more effective than trying to get them to change the way that they are organized and operate. I think that you're playing in the wild, wild west. I think the moment that you go IPO, you're confined by certain rules and regulations. I don't think you have as much flexibility. I think right now these companies are very cash heavy. IPO is usually a move that you make when you need more cash. So in my head, the only thing that would really incentivize that is, oh shoot, we can't find enough private money to invest in this that wants better rates. We need public sentiment. Who's really giving up on Anthropic in 9 months? In my opinion, it's nobody. I'm going to say they don't IPO in the next 9 months. I think that's where the market is. What is that? 80% says they won't.
88%.
I have to agree with that. I have to agree with that. And my great friend ChatGPT Deep Research also agreed with that. Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Chu?
Yeah, no, even going into it before even doing the report, I felt no IPO by June 30, 2026. That's still so soon from now. It's in 8 months essentially, 8, 9 months essentially. And even though there's been, this has been a great year for IPOs and more continue to come out. Like Navan just announced their IPO, I think, today. But in the AI space, I think the only company that's going to be IPOing, I think, anytime soon or the first one is going to have to be like OpenAI. I don't think that they're going to IPO before June 30th, 2026. And right now, I know there's a lot of like talk about the AI bubble. There's like been a lot of like research papers and reports that came out recently that basically says that they're all correlated. Like Nvidia gives somebody money, they give somebody a purchase order, and then another bank finances that, and so on and so forth. So from what
Right.
I heard about it is that like all it's going to take is one little thing to happen, one little thing. A problem with Cursor, a problem with OpenAI, a problem with Nvidia, a problem with AMD, a problem with whatever to take one of these little things, and then these companies don't IPO, I think, for another year or two. So I didn't think that this was going to happen even going into it. And so this is the one that I feel I think the most confident about. I don't think, from what I've understood and read in previous reports, is that these companies are just burning cash like no tomorrow. They're not making money, essentially, to at least control their burn rate. And then you have Grok. You have Grok and Elon, who has unlimited funds to compete with these companies. Unlimited, right? I mean, basically, what was it? Anthropic just raised $13 billion. I mean, like that's
And
what
at
Elon
14 and a 2.5 billion credit line.
that's what Elon spends on breakfast, right? I mean,
Right.
no, he has that's like $15 billion. He could get that by sending an emoji. And
Right.
so and he could spend it just as quickly and also be ahead of these guys. And so I'm taking it no. I'm saying I'm not getting too out of hand here, not getting too loose.
I don't think they'd want to IPO at this point. Also, I mean, if you think
I
about
don't think they can. I don't think they can. I don't think they can.
why don't you think they can?
I think they can. I think that if they were to IPO right now, I think it would actually be it would probably be lower. I'm guessing on sentiment, probably under the 100B.
So, okay, that's a good point. Not only from the retail, because I do want to talk about retail, but I think from just their readiness position, it looks like May 2024, they just hired their CFO, Krishna Rao, right? Which was seen as IPO groundwork, but no confirmed date. And obviously, like you're saying, analysts highlighting the benefits of staying private. So you have flexibility, no quarterly scrutiny, regulatory freedom. I think this is, again, the wild, wild west. And the moment you start getting retail investors involved and one little thing goes wrong or different than they expect, you create market panic. And next thing you know, you're subject to some crazy lawsuit or some serious investigation. And that, from a competitor standpoint, if I have big pockets and I want to go after somebody, I'm going to say, okay, well, hey, look what these guys are doing. Maybe we should investigate that. Now, what does that do to your whole operation? You lose talent. That's the big thing right now, talent in the AI space.
Right?
You're going to lose some of your big guys that don't want to deal with the drama, worried about their job security. All these things that would, it's a, every little one of them's a little cult in a positive, frame. Like they're all very cultish and they're like their own team. And it's like, yeah, we're team OpenAI. Yeah, we're team Anthropic. I mean, all this stuff that OpenAI has gone through in the last 3 years, can you imagine if they were public, what that stock would look like? craziness. You wouldn't wanna work for them unless they were private and you felt like they were guided in the right
Yeah.
direction.
And then you have Meta, and don't forget, we have Meta, we have Google, right? We have Elon, we have all
Yeah,
these guys. And so if people want to get access to AI, they have the access to go invest in Google and in Meta and in these companies and in
right.
Microsoft and things of that nature. But I really don't see I really think that like Anthropic or any of these other big AI companies are gonna wait to see until OpenAI goes public and see what the market says. And if the market treats them well, I think they're gonna all try to go do IPO right afterwards. And if not, maybe not. So
So
I honestly could see Anthropic being purchased more than I could see them IPOing.
to your point there as well, you think about all the different offerings that Google, Microsoft, Amazon, they all have these different offerings. Meta, their n their revenue is not predicated on the idea that their LLM works or it doesn't, right? It's like that's their least concern from a revenue perspective for shareholders. They can give that away for free if they wanted to suck the competition, to your point. Until these other companies really have something that will be driving revenue for them that is not contingent on the LLM itself, strictly the LLM itself, right? Until they really wedge that into an ecosystem, I don't think it would ever make sense for them to go public.
Yep. Yep. No, I agree. So, I mean, this is the last one right here. So you led this one off. So you got to make your bet. We're looking at it right now. We're looking at 88. So it's 89 cents to buy yes at the no IPO, or you see the numbers. So
Oh my god, that's a better rate than the, Tesla one.
89%. I know. So that's what I'm saying, right? So we're right, right. The 500K, right? For the 92 cents. See, this one is at 89 cents. You're going to be getting essentially 11% return on your money, but it's over the next 9 months. Um, so it's like, maybe, so it depends on, do with that what you will. In my perspective, I don't want to tie up too much of my money because I know we're going to be doing this a lot more. I'm doing a lot more bets. I want to have my capital free because when we do make these bets, they're going to be pending.
Hmm,
I think what's also pretty cool about Polymarket is that even though it's finite, like we mentioned, like in sports gambling too, it's like if you make a bet on a football team and in the third quarter, if they're winning, you're winning your bet and you want to cash out for a little bit less than the total winnings, you can. So it's similar with Polymarket that, like, for example, you can always bet, I'm gonna be buying 89 cents, saying no IPO. But if in, like, 2 or 3 months, I want to get some capital out of this position and maybe it's selling at, 92 cents, 93 cents, then I could sell it then too.
okay, great. So are you thinking what I'm thinking?
I mean, I know what I'm thinking, but what are you thinking? How much are you going with no IP? I mean,
I think you know what I'm thinking. I wish I had a whiteboard to draw it on the screen. 10K.
okay, 100,000, you're buying it, yes, 89 cents.
No IPO.
No IPO, no IPO by June 30th, 2026. So you're buying yes for that option at 89 cents for 100,000.
That's
I will
right.
just be purchasing, even though I'm confident, I am purchasing it at 15,000. Just
That's
to
very responsible of you, Dalton.
Very responsible. I mean, keeping it, all pretty tame for this first
Well,
episode,
if I need
right?
to cut losses, I'll cut losses, but, um, I can't wait to see how the next couple months pan out.
Yep.
When
That's
it's at
gonna
99 cents and I've got, you know, an extra 9 grand to play with,
that's what I'm saying. Yep.
we'll
No,
see. We'll see, Chew.
we'll be able to liquidate. We'll be able to show our portfolios over the week, over the quarter, over the year, see how we're doing, see what open positions we have, see which ones will close, which ones have hit, right? It'll be interesting to see the number of, bets that we've made that have hit and the ones that have not, but then also the return over time, so our conviction in these different bets, and then
Right.
also to track some of the other data. So I'm super excited to do that.
I think I think what we should do also is get some closer bets. I like that we had the Blackstone one, but next time we do it, let's get a little bit of a earlier bet.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking maybe we do again. We're coming up on the 1 hour right here, but we also spoke a little bit beforehand about the rules of the game. Spoke a little bit about our theses and how we and our strategies and things of that nature. And I mean, how did you feel about, going in this, you go, hey, there might be three might be too much. Is three too much, or could we do three closer bets and one bet that's 3 to 6 months from now?
I think that's a good way to do it. I think maybe we do it that way. Maybe we do it that way and, yeah, and then play around with it because also just from the sake of our conversations, I think that us having longer bets keep us engaged in this longer and get us continuing to kind of build momentum towards those dates, which is fun.
Yeah, I think so as well. Something to, yeah, to keep an eye on. And no, but I really enjoyed it. As it was enjoying learning more about the company of Blackstone, Anthropic, and Tesla, and the finance market. And then maybe this next one that we do will be maybe something in culture or in elections or in sports or whatever it might be. But I enjoyed kind of utilizing this platform for, again, things where it's like, you know, you could always you could always say, "Oh, hey, Blackstone beat their quarterly earnings, but they ended up going down in stock price." Where I like with, Polymarket, it's like, "Hey, you're just betting on that one number. If that one number
Right.
hits, then you win. Then you win." So I like it. So as we're wrapping it up,
I said yes for Polymarket, correct? Or sorry for, Blackstone.
you said yes for Blackstone. Yep. So
Yeah,
that, yep. And I want to say you did it at 1,000, 1,000 at Blackstone. But anyways, we're wrapping up, Chew. Wrapping up our first episode
awesome.
of Keeping It Loose. I'll be ending
Loose.
recording here soon, and then we will be going through the Excel file to show our bets or recordings.
I
So
love it. Dude,
looking
that was an
forward to the
awesome
next.
surprise. That was so much fun. I had no idea we were going virtual money. That's gonna be fun.
I think it'll be fun too. I think it'll be fun too. So signing out, keeping it loose. Goodbye,
Loose.
everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe.
Thank you.